Hey you guys, what's up? I'm trying to fix my hair, make sure it looks okay. But listen up, y'all. We're gonna be talking about this book. So if you guys did not see my last video, make sure you guys go take a look at it. I did introduce you guys to this book called Good Hair. So vital into what we should be reading as Black women. We should definitely be putting our daughters onto this, daughters and even maybe our sons, but it's more geared towards language that our daughters might be able to relate a little bit better to. But this type of literature is just so important, and I feel like we should definitely dive into reading a little bit more about our hair instead of just always focusing so much on video content. Yeah, so in this video, you guys see the title, we're going to be reading chapter 1. I just feel like I really want to dive into reading some of these chapters for you guys, or maybe all of the chapters. I'm telling you, like, you will relate to this. I am no doubt about it. But first, if you want to skip through this part, you can, but I am going to read the introduction, you guys. Who skips introductions in books? I mean, I used to do that all the time, but I've been in the past few months, since I've been really diving into reading books again, I've actually read the introduction of things, and I'm like, why did I skip this stuff before? Why did I skip this? So I'm going to read the introduction, you guys. If you guys want to skip that, you can just go to the timestamps in the description box. I'll have it down there below for you guys if you want to just skip to chapter 1. But I'm gonna go ahead and begin reading this. I have some water here because I'm about to be getting dry. Okay, so introduction for colored girls who've considered weaves when the chemicals became too rough. So every Black woman wants good hair. We already have it, but most of us claim it is too much trouble to care for unless the texture is radically or chemically altered. Many women would prefer to have chronically damaged, unflattering hair, styled in what they believe is an acceptable manner. This is unfortunate. What does good hair mean? It means hair that is the best it can be. Hair that's healthy looking, a natural adornment. Notice that I didn't refer to a hair of a certain texture or grade, as if our hair should be graded like a piece of USDA choice meat. If you can manage and enjoy your hair without going through major changes, then I'd say it's pretty good. I used to think only Black women with so-called good hair were the luckiest women in the world. You know what I mean? Hair that's naturally straight, loosely curled, or waved. Those of us with the springy African hair were banished to bad hair purgatory, doomed to spend eternity trying to make it look good. Then there's the faction that has deemed anything less than straight hair to be political hair. Let me translate. Political equals militant. And we don't want to offend the wrong people, do we? Men don't like women whose hair looks like that. For those of us blessed with African hair, this program can really get on your nerves. Oh, my bad, y'all. For those of us blessed with African hair, this program can really get on your nerves. Hey, I just want to look good. Why does looking good mean I've got to look like someone else? All rationalizing aside, isn't imitation the sincerest form of flattery? You think that the last thing we'd want to do is spend lots of time and hard-earned cash doing bad hair imitations. I mean, what's a sister got to do? First off, knowledge is power. And what you don't know about your own hair can hurt you, or at least your pocketbook. Consider this. Black hair care is a billion-dollar business. Also consider the fact that white people are very aware of our desire for so-called good hair, because blacks tend to spend more on their hair than whites. White-owned companies have already begun to target the black hair care market, which now grosses more than $1 billion a year, and there are no signs of decline. Remember, you guys, this book was back in early 1990s, okay? So yeah, she was correct. There was no decline in the economy when it comes to black hair care. But even though Black women spend a lot of money on hair care, it seems that money can't buy miracles. So many ladies have ruined their hair with improperly applied chemical straighteners, curly perms, and dyes that someone figured they'd buy glue-on bangs if made available. We're not talking about Black women with medical or dermatological problems that affect hair growth. We're talking about healthy, intelligent women who believe that there is basically one way to wear their hair, straightened, and are overwhelmed by all the chemical services that purportedly work miracles and have a hard time finding professionals who take time to do the job right. or wigs in any magazine or media oriented toward Black women. How many ladies do you know who suddenly switch hairdressers midstream because someone whispered those magic words? Girlfriend, my hair has really grown since I've been going to Tyrell. And he gets you out quick. But for all the time and considerable cash we spend on our hair, you can see millions of sisters with, well, let us say, serious hair problems. Let me give you a few highlights from my own experiences. When I let a hairstylist convince me that cutting one side of my hair radically shorter than the other would make it grow faster and thicker than the uncut side, I am ashamed to say I was a working journalist at the time because bogus was written all over this one. And no, it didn't work. When I wore braids for 1.5 years and grew a shoulder length head of hair, I literally thank God for, only to screw it right up with a chemical straightener on top of a home curly perm. Go ahead and snicker, but you know women who've done this if you haven't already done it yourself. The times I've gone to work with big dark burns on my forehead and neck where my curling iron slipped. If my hair had been long enough to hide my forehead and neck, it would have been bearable. The shame of this was that I got the ultra short relaxed style, so I wouldn't have to fool with curling irons and rollers in the first place. How about the time I went into a salon for a mild relaxer and wedge cut and came out with the tightest, greasiest curly perm? I can't bear to go on. It was so awful. My hair just kind of sat up on the back of my head like it was disgusted. My husband, a very tolerant man, refused to touch it. My hair was so parched, it drank quarts of curl activator. I couldn't wait until I got a couple inches of growth so I could cut the greasy mess off. Another complete head of hair bit the dust. But the killer, the absolute clincher, was when I thumbed through one of those true love confessional magazines aimed at Black women and found an ad for my hand to God glue-on hair tendrils. For about $24, you could send in for strands, mere tendrils of hair, to glue on at your temples and nape of your neck. That's right, for you sisters who literally burned out your hairline behind chemical straighteners or facelifting braid extensions. There's hope. Hallelujah. According to the ad, which ran not in 1959, but 1989, you could put a bunch of these tendrils together and glue on some bangs. This is a sorry state of affairs, and I knew there must have been a lot of ladies looking for help. So this book is about learning to get control of your hair and feel good about it. Enjoy it. You can be confident that if you have to cut it into a style, you can enjoy it. And when it grows out, you can try another cut. You don't have to plan your lifestyle around your hairstyle, but you do need a plan. That's where this book comes in. Your goal is to either 1, learn to manage your own hair, or 2, educate yourself so you can't be finessed or faked out at the salon, or 3, get bad hair out of your vocabulary, or 4, get off the perm and into unstraightened or at most slightly texturized African hair. All right. So that was the introduction, you guys. And also I wanted to go ahead really quick and let you guys know who the winner is of our mystery box giveaway. And it looks like our winner is of our April and March mystery box giveaway is user JS4TX7FP9Q. I know that is hilarious to say, but I'm gonna put it on the screen, you guys. So go ahead, girl, let me know when you get this message. You are the winner, okay? And make sure that you go ahead and comment below that you saw this, and I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that you get your gift immediately. It's already boxed up and ready to go, so make sure you just DM me with your information and I can send that off. Now our second runner up for the giveaway would be Gift Shop 8319. Thank you so much for all of your support, you guys. I really appreciate it. So Gift Shop, you're the second runner up for this month. So that means that if you are that means that the first winner, if the winner does not respond, you have the option and the opportunity to go ahead and receive the gift as well. But let's go ahead and make sure that our winner has a fair chance. So make sure you respond to this video within 48 hours. So let me know that you received this information. I'm gonna send off your gifts. Okay, girl. So let's go ahead and get into chapter 1, you guys. This video might be a little bit long, but most of them might be long if I'm reading chapters. So just to let you guys know, I would say if you guys are going to be listening to me reading, y'all can go ahead and, do some cleaning around the house. You know what I'm saying? Hope you driving down the street. This is that type of video where it's just a listening more so than looking. Unless y'all want to see your girl. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me get serious. Okay, so number 1, a new attitude. The key to enjoying your hair is a positive attitude. For some of you, this means a new attitude. Yes, ladies, there is an attitude amongst us, and it manifests itself in the way of a notorious disease. It's called nappy hair phobia, also known as fear of naps. I'll call it NHP for short. What causes NHP? Is there a cure? Let's get to the root of the problem. NHP usually starts in early childhood. Mothers bearing the instrument of torture, an ace comb, closed in on unsuspecting toddlers with curly African hair. Once caught, the poor babies were subjected to their first genuine hair combing. Toddlers blessed with strong, springy hair were in double jeopardy. Not only did they have really bad hair, quote unquote, but if they cried, their mothers declared that they were, quote unquote, tender-headed. I'm not going to keep saying quote unquote, y'all, but just know some of this stuff is quote unquote. Your head would feel tender too if you tried to pull your springs through an ace comb. Keisha sees mommy's coming with the ace comb. Keisha runs away and cries. The squirming and crying gets on mommy's nerves, so she grooms less frequently, and Keisha's hair goes its own way. Keisha sees mommy coming with the comb. Of course, nowadays, when Keisha starts to squirming and crying, moms gets Keisha some heavy-duty braid extensions, because Keisha doesn't have enough hair for her own braids, or worse, a scary curl. Then comes childhood. Who could forget the words that have terrorized generations of black children? Sit down so I can comb your hair. Those with curly African hair were usually treated to a half hour of having their head jerked and snatched while mothers struggled through the crop. Moms would be talking about how you must have gotten your father's hair. They've got that bad hair. Or this stuff is so nappy I can hardly get the comb through it. Pow. Hold your head up straight. I understand where the attitude comes from because I have been there too. Hair outlaws are created, not born. I am a child of the integration era who went to school with white kids. I lived in predominantly white neighborhoods. I was getting my hair pressed back then. So I got the good hair culture shock firsthand. I quickly discovered that my hair didn't do what it was supposed to do. Stay straight. Hair care was very important, because naps were not in vogue. You did not want your white classmates asking you why your hair looked like that. My mother took great pains to be sure our secret wasn't revealed. When I started school, she made a black drawstring bag, and I slipped a folded raincoat inside. I carried this bag to school every day, rain or shine. Heaven forbid if it should drizzle and my hair were to go back. I'd have to go back to wherever it came from. My mother has thick, pretty black hair that she, get this, prefers to wear short because she says it's too much trouble when it's long. Every once in a while, she let it grow past her shoulders and then she'd whack it off short. This drove me crazy. The luck of the gene pool gave me my grandmama's fragile hair. It's what folks call soft hair. To me, it was about as good as having soft teeth. Give it a hard press, a good oiling, and it would cling to my skull like white on rice. My nickname was Go Head Forehead because I have what is known as an intelligent forehead. And once I began doing my own hair, I didn't have much fringe to cover it. The hot comb. I remember it well. My mom would give me the do that most black girl children get. The 2 or 3 plait and the ubiquitous rolled bang. My mom believed that more than 3 plaits looked like buckwheat. And y'all know that was definitely out back then. I remember walking to school winter mornings and feeling the grease freeze in my bangs. Excuse me, I meant my bang. Speaking of bangs, there's an impression amongst us that hair can be trained. That is, instead of cutting your bangs and having them fall into place, black people trim their bangs and train them so they'll lay right. In my case, part of this training involved a device called the stocking cap. One of my earliest training memories is of my mother making me a stocking cap to sleep in. Now, We're not talking about the knit cap that Wee Willie Winkle wore with that little pom-pom on top. I'm talking about the kind made from a real stocking. My mom would take one of her stockings, cut off the leg, and knot the top to create a little cap. I was what some people call a bad sleeper, so she'd make a chin strap with a piece of elastic. The chin strap was for my mom's peace of mind because I was already getting a nightly facelift from the stocking cap. The rationale behind this was to keep my hair and the rollers or pin curl in place while I slept. It also trained my bangs by mobilizing them against my forehead. Nothing was gonna move under that little baby. That's when that bang training really came into good use. Training my bangs to cover the forehead ring and roller marks pressed in by the stocking cap. And then she shows a picture of herself when she was little, showing us exactly what she's talking about. Her and her brother. It says, me, my brother, and my trained bangs. I eventually graduated to sleepwear designed by Goody Hair Products. Some of these fashion innovations included what they called a sleep bonnet. This was a synthetic shower cap covered with the scratchiest, ugliest eyelet material ever invented. At least they didn't come with a chin strap. I can really relate to Whoopi Goldberg's joke about wearing a towel on her head, pretending it was her hair. Because I did that stuff too. Y'all probably did it unless you were born in the 70s and your mother got you some braid extensions. Well, my version of the towel was to tie a big, thick ribbon or yarn tie on the end of my finger length dookie braid and flip that around. Except I didn't have sense enough to keep it at home. I wore mine to school until somebody drew a picture of me with the huge yarn bow dangling on the back of my microscopic braid. I grew up believing that grease grew hair, and if I could just find the magic brand, I'd be Rapunzel's twin sister. Our house brand was a standard cool blue ultra sheen. Wasn't no afro sheen for me because my mom didn't especially go for no great big nappy looking froze. Besides, I didn't have no great big hair to afro with anyhow. Anyway, I faithfully brushed and oiled my little crop with the ultra sheen until one of my girlfriends told me a grease called Sulfur 8 made her hair grow. If you don't know about Sulfur 8, the name speaks for itself. It feels great on an itchy scalp, but once it's aged a few days in your hair, it's hard to keep Sulfur 8 a secret. And don't let it be a hot day. Glover's mange was another favorite hair grower. When my mom put some warmed Glover's on a cotton pad and rubbed it into my scalp, it was better than having my feet rubbed. I swore new hairs were sprouting until I looked at my crop 2 weeks later and it looked the same. Short and skimpy. I was also a brush disciple, 100 strokes a night. After my hair was hot combed, before the grease was put in, I'd run around the house shaking my 3 inches of hair. That's about the longest it ever got. I'd watch it shake and bounce like the white girl's hair. Then my mother would oil my scalp and spoil my fantasy. The ultra sheen would be brushed through so it won't go back so fast. And then I'd roll it up on sponge rollers. I slept on sponge rollers every night to prevent the sponge from chewing up my hair. Very important step here. I fold a section of toilet paper in half and wrap it around the roller. It was the only way to ensure a hairstyle in the morning because I sure didn't have enough to slick into a bun if the set didn't work. When I was a teenager, a lady I babysat for gave me a curly brown afro wig. My mom gave me the high sign because wigs were in and many of her friends wore wigs. We're talking about the wig heyday here, starring It's a Wig by Michael Weeks, the Naomi Sims line, and so on. With my new hair and fake fur bomber jacket, I looked just like my old movie idol, Cleopatra Jones. Honey, I was too fine. And as an added bonus, my girlfriend told me if I kept my hair braided up underneath the wig, it would grow. I have been reborn. Ladies, I had the time of my life. I went to a skating rink with my wig on, and the GI tried to pick me up. I was all of 14 years old at the time. Prior to that time, we call it BH, before hair. I couldn't pay a brother to ask me to a dance at a party. The miracle of hair. The problem was that everybody who knew me knew it was a wig, so I had to be extra cool. I didn't want anybody getting reeled up and snatching it off to make a point. Also, any boys I pulled would want to run their hands through my bountiful hair sooner or later. And lastly, the sucker had to be washed, and I didn't have an alternate to wear while it dried. When I found out about hair weaves, that you could actually attach hair to your head and not have to take it off at night, I became obsessed. I pouted for a month one summer until my mother threatened to give me a reason to need one. So here's pictures of her. It shows her my biggest and best fro, and then I was a preteen brush disciple. The first one was when she said her biggest and best fro. Hopefully you can see it. They're black and white. And then the preteen. I can go on, but I'll stop here while I still have some secrets left. It's no wonder that many of us wanted to get rid of the problem, the mission. Get those naps out and put some curls in. Unfortunately, the curls were already there. We just didn't know how to work with them, and we didn't want to. It's difficult to stop black hair from breaking off when it's constantly styled with chemical straighteners and lots of heat from blow dryers and curling irons. If you hate African hair, then you're more likely to wear it out by using harsh styling methods to keep it straight. Now, when your hair is constantly breaking off from styling methods, you get the impression that it doesn't grow. Believing that your hair doesn't grow is a downer, don't you think? So then you tend to feel trapped into a hairstyle. It's like you don't have a choice or the luxury of letting your hair grow so you can try something different. If you don't see any attractiveness in your own hair, you turn to quick fixes like weaves and wigs. You figure black women with healthy, pretty hair or straight hair have good hair. It couldn't possibly be better because they treat it better. You develop bad feelings about your hair. NHP, nappy hair phobia, has a way of cropping up in ways you probably recognize. Here are a few of the dreadful styling diseases that promote the image of springy African hair as a burden to be disguised. Relaxer revenge. This happens when the urge to purge the naps is so great that you overprocess your chemical relaxer to the point of no return. Symptoms are a burnt out hairline or a balding look around the sides. Victims of relaxer revenge often sport a do that is brittle and stiff or like greased cake icing. The nap strikes back. The best description I've heard is when your hair has reverted to an Uncle Remus style nap. Strike back. Sufferers usually try to brush or grease the naps into what's left of their bone straight perm. Imitation of still life. Often confused with its close cousin, relaxer revenge. The imitation stems from the sister's fear of naps, haircuts, trims, or scissors in general. The imitator's credo. Why cut if you can comb? So you see faithfully bad recreations of the latest hair fad. Who can forget the Farrah Fawcett era? Feats of magic were performed as countless sisters created the immortal winged flip out of what in some cases was literally thin air. Then we had the trend where we saw 3 and 4 different hairstyles on one head. Bangs in front, layers on the left, blunt page boy to the right, no back. All without benefit of scissors. Relaxer revenge victims really lucked out during that era because they could usually count on their hair just kind of breaking off into a do, thus saving them the heartbreak of a trim or haircut. Stretch and save syndrome, also known as see-through hair. Yeah, girl, it's down to my shoulders now, but it's so broken and damaged that you can see through the last 5 inches of it. The baby hair mystique. An abundance of baby hair, the soft downy hair that lies along the hairline and nape, is admired among us. When it occurs naturally, it is naturally attractive. But some of us get carried away, like the pitiful sisters who don't have enough hair to catch up in a baby barrette, but have worked miracles with a lot of styling gel and what's left of their hairline. And no example of the baby hair mystique would be complete without mentioning Michael Jackson. I believe NHP, nappy hair phobia, exists because we see so few examples of desirable hairstyles that highlight the natural texture of curly African hair. Most of us has been conditioned to admire African hair after it has been completely straightened. There doesn't seem to be an easy in between. I'm not into measuring negritude by hairstyles. I'm saying that every black woman in America doesn't necessarily want to wear her hair like Claire Huxtable. I'm also saying that every black woman in America with short hair doesn't want to go out, get some braid extensions, unbraid them to about 1 or 2 inches from the scalp, brush it out, and curl the extensions so it looks like Claire Huxtable's. So enough already. Before we get to the promised land, you should know something about the unique structure of African hair. Read on. The next chapter talks about anatomy of hair. You guys let me know if you guys want me to keep reading this. I definitely will. But I don't know. Maybe I will read the rest of this book. I don't know. I mean, it is a lot of chapters and it will take up a lot of video time, but I don't know. If y'all enjoying it, let me know down below. I would definitely love to read to you guys again a little more. But I wanted to make sure I read at least a chapter from this book so you guys can get a little bit more of a gist of what this book is about. But it is so good. I mean, all of that right there just kind of showed you that every single thing that we talk about today has already been talked about. The baby hairs, the weaves, you know, wearing wigs, you know, and women back then thinking that good hair is when it's straightened or white girl hair. Everything that we talk about is nothing new in the natural hair community. Nothing new at all. So this right here just proves that. Like, so go ahead and comment below if this is something that you guys like. I would love to continue this. If you are the winner of the mystery box, go ahead and comment below that you know that you're the winner, girl, so I can get you your stuff. Okay, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.